What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Danny the Bull, back with my first live stream of the year 2025. Happy New Year to everyone. I think it's going to be a really good year. Hold on. 2025. I think it's going to be a good year for everyone who's been here for the last couple years, even if you've just been here for a year accumulating some coins. And even if you're just arriving now, I think now is the perfect time. Maybe, the last real opportunity over the next few weeks to build out positions in some altcoins, because as we've documented here and as you've seen elsewhere, we are close to the next phase of this cycle, which is the best phase of the cycle historically. So as always, a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the overall cycle, how to prepare for it mentally. I have a couple examples of a couple of coins and, how they performed in the 2017 cycle. All right. So just to give us insight in what to expect for this cycle and guide us, in terms of when to sell, when to take something off the table, etc. We'll talk about, I'll give you some predictions, my predictions for 2025 in terms of the big caps, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all that good stuff. We'll get into the chat, as always, talk about our favorite altcoins like Mcade, as Russ G says right now is pumping. Let's go. I think it's up about 30% on the day, $58 million market cap, and potentially a lot higher. We're going to talk about where these things could go. Should be a good year. Raven in the house. What's going on, Mother Chucker? Chuck bottomed out again at 1.5, 0015, moving back up. That's been a very strong floor, and hopefully this year is also a great year for the Chuck community. DDS in the house. What's going on, brother? B-dubs in the house. How's the TET go? The TET live. So supposed to have a live stream with guys from Tectum. Haven't been able to firm it up. Been playing like DM tag. So I'm trying a different route to grab some guys from TET, get them on the channel, because I do like Tectum a lot. It's one of my big holdings. It's also one that hasn't performed so great. But I'll talk about Tectum later, why I'm not worried. And we'll get into it. Pixel, who's ready for You Got Lucky season? And this is exactly what's going to play out, right? It's never different. People at this stage say that alt season is not going to come. It ends up coming, and then people say you got lucky. No one here got lucky. We've all been through excruciating pain. We've all had a ton of patience. Crypto trades around the clock, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. There is no off button in this game. And so if you've been in the trenches and if you've been accumulating, riding things up, riding them down, there have been waves of euphoria, waves of disappointment, all sorts of emotions, and all of that in anticipation of what's to come now. So, they will say you got lucky, but there was no luck. Luck had nothing to do with what will come our way. We'll talk about this when I expect a peak. That's part of the stream. Hopefully I entertain you, Russ. Let's go. And tomorrow I'll be back live again. I'll have Ron on the channel, and we'll do a little tag team here, open some dialogue up. Mcade on the run. Yeah, let's drop a like. Absolutely. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and we will get into it. G Money's in the house, so we can get started. So I got some things to talk about, and then I'll jump back into the chat. As always, light up the chat. But as of now, Bitcoin at 98,000, a little over 98,000, making a push back to 100,000. When the new year started, the S&P, NASDAQ, all traditional markets were up big. I think I want to say like 3%. They pretty much erased the losses. They had very big losses, after Jerome Powell, talked about, the future rate cuts for 2025, right? How he anticipated 2 rate cuts in 2025. Stock market sold off really hard, but opened the year strong. And, we said that this Bitcoin dip was to be expected. I said maybe we go down to 85,000, wick below 90,000. It didn't quite do that. It went as low as, I want to say 90. We never really got too much fear in the market. In the Bitcoin fear and greed index, we went down to a 64, which was still in that greed zone. And I thought maybe we wicked down to 85. We made the move up. I can see another push down before going up, but I do think we will be up by Trump's inauguration, which is set for January 20th. Key target, psychological target. The pro crypto landscape that is coming in is setting up a perfect storm for this whole market to really explode, I think, in 2025, and top off at the end of the year. I think as we move further into the cycle, people will say this time is different. Institutional money is in. Euphoria will be in full force, but never bet against the market. I would expect, be prepared to exit at some point. But I think, heading into Inauguration Day, things will continue to do well. 2024, the year of crypto silenced its critics. And this is interesting because there's a site that tracks Bitcoin obituaries, right? So that's when anytime Bitcoin is declared dead by mainstream media, and it's happened, if you do the math, a few hundred times, maybe 500 eyeballing this over the last, over the course of its existence. 2024 saw the least obituaries for Bitcoin since 2012. So only 2 people or 2 times when it was proclaimed dead in 2024. So I think that is a response to the ETFs. I don't know that it's a death of obituaries forever. I think people will come back on any major dip on Bitcoin. Non-believers will always come back and say that it's dead. But the Bitcoin ETFs broke all records for ETFs this year. All right. The launch of Bitcoin ETFs in March didn't just mark a regulatory milestone. It unleashed an unprecedented wave of institutional adoption. It shattered every previous ETF launch record. Okay, so if that doesn't tell you the appetite for Bitcoin, by, big money, I don't know what to tell you. But we're going to see more of this. Now there's the Solana ETF has been proposed. I think there's an XRP ETF that has been proposed. And with this pro-crypto government, we're likely to see many more ETFs approved in the coming year or so. Now that will lead people to say that this time is different, and we're going to have a super cycle, and it's going to go on into 2026. But what I've learned, what I keep saying is never bet against the cycle, okay? Because thus far, every time you've bet against the cycle, you've lost. And so until we're proven wrong, I'm going to keep going and putting my money on the cycle playing out the way it always has. Another big tailwind for this cycle, another piece of the perfect storm, is FTX payment plan, which is now effective. So $16 billion in user funds are getting reimbursed effective now. So they started on January 3rd. It'll take 60 days for the first wave of money to be sent back to people who had their funds on FTX when it went down. So we're talking about billions of dollars coming in stable coins back to crypto holders in the middle of another bull run. So again, perfect setup is here. And let's pull up the altcoin. Let me just refresh this. This is the alt season indicator. We're at a 55, so we're heading back up. Bitcoin dominance is going down just a little. We're seeing a move on some of the bigger altcoins. Mcade pumped 30%. AI agents have been absolutely killing it. So again, it's kind of like the early stages of alt season. It's kind of like I likened it to when you put popcorn in the microwave and you get these pops, 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 and then eventually everything is popping, right? So we're not here yet, but we're at that stage where things are starting to pop off slowly, but the big gains and the major fun is still ahead of us. And, you know, when we talk about don't bet against the cycle, we're in the post-halving year. All right, so this is how things have traditionally played out in the halving year and post-halving year. Bitcoin runs up into the halving. That happened. It ran in hotter than ever because of the ETFs. People thought this time is different and we're going to have an accelerated cycle. Right? This time was not different. The market reset. And as always, Bitcoin cooled off after the halving. All right, so we had that long consolidation period of 8 months of Bitcoin cooling off after the halving. Bitcoin makes a new all-time high approximately 200 days after the halving. That happened just as the last cycles. Bitcoin dominance hits at least 60% by end of year. Altcoins bled against Bitcoin. Check. And now, what can we forecast for the next 6 months to a year? Well, we can say that Ethereum will outpace Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance will cool off. Alt season will kick in. We'll see a big sell-off in spring and summer. One last run at the end of the year. Even last cycle with the double top, we still had another run at the end of the year. So if people ask me when I think we're going to top out, and I saw that question here, I expect the peak to be, I expect to run into spring, to dump, and then come back end of the year. All right, that's what I expect. And I expect a peak October, November, but I will have sold from my positions well before that. So I wanted to illustrate to you how these coins move, because we need to be prepared beforehand. And I brought up, because this cycle is compared to 2017, I pulled 2 coins from 2017 to show how they behaved, all right, during that cycle. One is XRP, which was a big winner, all right, and, you know, made people a bunch of money, and money bag held that. But it was a huge winner, that cycle, one of the biggest. The other is one that I never heard of, Augur. I pulled it because, you know, it was a top 50 coin at the time. I think it hit a 50, I forget the top. It hit a sizable market cap, maybe 50 million or something like that, which at the time would put it in the top 50. But I picked a random coin that did well, and I picked XRP to illustrate how they behaved last 2 cycles ago. All right, so we can maybe anticipate and see if there's a comparison here. Okay, from, you know, where we are right now, and let's see. So let's pull it up. We got XRP first. Let me pull up into a full screen. All right. So this is XRP from the 2017 cycle. All right. And if you look at here, this is where we're at now, almost to the day, right? 1617, January, in the year after the halving. So it had sideways down action for about 13 months. Okay. And it continued to go sideways while some other coins moved. Some of the coins started to move in like end of January, February. It was still flat. It really started its move in March. All right, some point in March. It even dipped in early March, dipped down to 0.005, half a penny. But then within a month, it did a 4x. All right, so a 4x into April, and then another 2x into May. This was the first peak of the 2017 cycle. So XRP did an 8x in 6 weeks. Okay, the total move, 8x in 6 weeks after a year and a half of flat to down. And if you look at, I'm just going to pull a random coin here, which is Tectum. So it's been down flat for the last year, right? AI tech. And I know many have, gone up, but I mean, people get concerned about some of their coins that have been down and flat, right? So down, flat, AI tech, with some rangy action. If history repeats, and I think it will, right, we'll see big gains in a very short amount of time. And that's the thing, I think, that a lot of people, there's a misconception unless you've lived it or you're living through it. It's that, the bull run is, we think of it as 2 years, right? The halving year and then the post-halving year. That's a Bitcoin bull run, right? Bitcoin is trending up, and that's why you load into Bitcoin, ride it up, and then run into alts. Alt season and the real bull run on alts is a matter of weeks for the big gains. So again, it was 6 weeks for XRP, and then it was a dump. It was it got a 60% dump. And I don't know if this was the low. It was just a random date. It was lowish. This was like around the low. A 60% dump down to 15 cents. It went sideways for 6 months. So imagine that. Imagine you rode this up. You had a big bag, a 5-figure bag at almost 10x, and now you're at 6 figures, and now it crashes 60%. And people are telling you it's over, and headlines are telling you it's over, and you're riding it down sideways for 6 months, what that would feel like. That's why it's important to take your profits here, right? So I anticipate a pump into spring, and there's the saying, sell in May, go away. I would anticipate that to play out again this year. So May-ish, I'll be selling a percentage of my stuff, taking profits, assessing the market, and waiting. And if Bitcoin looks strong and all eyes are on Bitcoin, right? We're not following alts, we're following Bitcoin. If Bitcoin looks poised for an end of the year run or for some continuation to the upside, then you know that there's upside left in the altcoins, and there should be some fireworks at the end of the year. Because if you look at the end of that cycle, Bitcoin topped out in December of 21, alts topped out a few weeks later. And XRP did a 16x in 6 weeks. All right, so total move from January top of $3.30, or rather from these January numbers to the following year, a 600x if you held all the way through. A 600x, right? If you got out completely over here, you made yourself an 8x. If you sold some here, held some, and took profit here, you got out more. But you understand the idea of it. And every coin will follow the same trajectory, just to a different extent of upside, right? So not every coin is going up 600x. And here's Augur, which I've never heard of in my life. But look at the pattern is exactly the same. It had pumped like many of our altcoins did the previous year before halving. It went up to $14. Okay. So just like AI tech went from below 5 cents to, I think it was 45 cents. Tectum went to $45. Naka, what did it go? $3? Rio, $3. It did that. And then it did sideways down for 10 months, just like all of those other coins. Bottomed out January 1st. Slowly went up incrementally. But the big move, the first big move happened over the course from February to May. Over 12 weeks, 4x. 6 more weeks, another 2.3x. 8.6x in, that's 18 weeks. All right. Yeah, over 18 weeks. So what is that? 4, 8, 12, 4 months. Over the course of 4 months, 8x. It went from $35 to $17. So a 50% haircut, down sideways for 6 months, fireworks at the end, 6x in 6 weeks. Again, biggest gains made in the shortest amount of time. And so that's why this game is so frustrating, because you're waiting and waiting and accumulating, and it seems like everything else is up, but not everything else is up, right? AI agents are popping right now. You get some coins pop, but the majority of coins, I would say, are performing like this right now. All right, but we know to never bet against the cycle. And I think ETH will lead the way. And ETH is, here we go. ETH is outperforming right now on the 7-day. Bitcoin's up to almost 4%. ETH's up almost 8%. ETH is making its push back up to 4K. I think it will possibly challenge its previous all-time high by the end of the month. And then I think we're off to the races on altcoins. All right. I think people are waiting. There's a lot of ETH money. People are waiting for the ETH signal. And I think this time won't be different. I think that the patient will be rewarded. And as Pixel said, they will say, we were lucky afterwards, right? But the tricky part is going to be in handling this middle of the year, okay? And knowing when to exit. And my strategy is take chips off the table here, assess here, and then determine what I'm doing over here. All right, but it's not easy. I think exiting is, probably more difficult than building out the entry and finding your coins. It's finding your exit strategy. So that's why it's good to be prepared and anticipated. So I thought that was interesting to look at because history has never misguided us in crypto, right? It's always given us the path forward. If you just look back, you have the blueprint for the path that's ahead of us. And so examining it closely helps to just make sense of it, because sometimes you get lost in the sauce and your emotions take over. I hear a bunch of people talking about maybe there's no altcoin season this time. Maybe, because they're institutions buying, they're just going to hold their Bitcoin. This time, it's never different. And institutions were here at the beginning of 2024, and there was a mini alt run then, right? Meme coins, a bunch of meme coins have popped off. Institutions are not buying fart coin. All right. So this time is not different. Another illustration. I love these charts. Okay. It's played out perfectly. Bear, pre-bull, first bull, second bull. And again, people think that the bull run is 2 years. The bull run is 10 weeks in the middle, 6 weeks at the end, something like that for alts. All right, so the biggest gains are made in the shortest amount of time. Let's see. We go back here. Again, we're just, you see how it plays out perfectly. This is 2017. During this green shaded area is the parabolic phase of the market. All right. 2021, 2024. If you look at the total three, last cycle, right here, November, big green pop. December, red. January, nice green rebound. February, off to the races. March, April, May, put in a top, right? The big wick up here, but close the month green. So mid-May, or, sometime in May, the market peaked, and then we went into the scary phase of the market. Let's fast forward to now. November, here, this big green bar. It looks big right now. It's going to look smaller soon. November, December, red. January. So far, we are green. Okay, so if history repeats, right now we're testing all-time highs on total three. History repeats, we're going to be way up here. Ethereum leads the way. Historically, January, last cycle, January, Ethereum 78% up, 7% February, 35% March, 44% April. So far, it's early, 4 days, but almost 10% up on ETH. And so never bet against the cycle. It seems like it's oversimplified, but it's really difficult to weather the storm, right? I think the hard part is that the volatility of this space is super hard to deal with. But when you break it down, not too bad. So let's see. I'm going to jump into the comments a bit here before I go on my other spiel. Walshy in the house. What's good? Mcade on the run again. Sure, let's pull up Mcade. Mcade has been very strong of late and has really outperformed all other gaming tokens. CoinMarketCap has it at 47 million market cap. I believe the true market cap is 58 million. Nice rebound. On the day, we're up 23%, crossed 3.5 cents again. Local top, actually all-time high, we hit, I thought it wicked up to 5 cents. I think it did. It just didn't close there. So that'll be resistance area in the 4 cent area, because that's, the previous all-time high. Going way back to when it launched, it jumped up to over 4 cents. So we went back there in December. I would anticipate that being a level that needs to be broken through. But Mcade, it's still so early. And, what happens if it 8X is here? I don't know. I talked about having price predictions for Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., bigger caps. I don't have price predictions for these smaller caps because they're really unpredictable, right? And it's kind of like, I was thinking about it, it's kind of like molecules, right? You have stable molecules and unstable molecules. And stable molecules are more predictable. They are, you know what to expect from them. Unstable molecules just do whatever they want. And that's what small alts are. They're unstable molecules, which make them very volatile, both to the upside, but also carry more risk. The bigger they get, the more stable they get, and the easier they are to predict. But, my whole philosophy around and my whole game plan has been to buy to, have build up good positions in a bunch of small caps that are highly volatile and unstable and capture big gains, right? If just one of them 100x's and the others, 10x, 5x, even one or two go to zero and don't do anything. If you're diversified, you're fine, right? But you'll capture more upside, but the key is knowing which ones to pick, right? And investing in hot sectors, first cycle, strong teams, good tokenomics. So, and even the tokenomics in a bull run, why I stuck with Devve when Devve was heavily diluted. The tokenomics, the early tokenomics, the vesting schedule was horrific. I think it launched with 13% in circulation and was just beaten down with dilution. And so by November, it got every month there were like unlocks and the price was getting dumped on. Devve went down to 14 cents. Devve's now at 90 cents. It's now, the unlocks are done. And so I don't get overly put off by unlocks. I do prefer when everything's, close to being in circulation and there aren't unlocks, but that's a sidebar. For Mcade, I saw someone brought up, here it is, B-dubs. House of Crypto has been talking about Mcade lately. He featured in a video and it pumps every time he features it. I didn't know that. I know that he's been covering it. Someone else mentioned, I didn't know that it pumps after. Let me see. Someone else mentioned, I thought someone else mentioned a price target. No. All right. I mistook it. So I know that there was someone said that Mcade could go up to like $8 billion, something like that. I think that's a very big number. And I don't put price targets on things for a reason. But I understand also that if the right confluence of events come about, and if virality, there's all viral, something goes viral, like Axie Infinity went viral, was put on all major exchanges. If you catch lightning in a bottle, you could get major upside on things. But, by May, an 8x on Mcade right now would put it right here at a $500 million market cap. So if it performed similar to, those others, I'm going to do more. I'm going to create more of those slides just to see what the, the confluence is. I think you could be seeing, a 25-cent Mcade in the spring. And then if we get another push up at the end of the year, right, I would anticipate, going by history, that it'll get cut down back to this range. And then if you get a blow off top, maybe you push up to here, is a way to think about it. I just think about different scenarios. So who knows what's going to happen, but we'll see. I don't have Devve, but impressed how it's constantly grinding up. Do you think it's too late to enter? I don't think it's too late to enter on Devve. It was obviously better to enter earlier, but I've bought at, I didn't buy at this level, but I bought at 75 cents, 80 cents recently. And here's why I don't think it's late, is because it's an $84 million market cap. This is a sub $100 million market cap. And if they are able to capture mind share and position themselves as a mainstay in crypto, the reason I bought it is because I thought it could go to 5 billion or more, right? So if that prophecy is fulfilled, or if it does end up being a winner and getting into billions, then 80 million is a bargain, right? We don't know if it happens. That's the thing. And that's always the thing with these. And so I guess my answer is, if you feel strongly about the potential for something to go to billions, then I wouldn't be put off by buying it at 80 million on the precipice of alt season, right? In hindsight, if it worked out, it'll be fine. And I do think that Devve's got potential. They're supposed to have a major announcement coming for, they basically, what they're doing is bringing like stock exchanges and traditional markets, traditional assets, RWA on. They're building blockchains that are regulatory compliant for these big companies, right? So imagine if NASDAQ one day wanted to get tokenized, right? They could potentially use someone like Devve. That's the idea there. And they have a partnership. And the reason why the price has done what it's done and held is because supposedly sometime in January, the partnership's going to be revealed, along with partnerships with a few nation states. So we're going to find out. I don't think it's too late if it ends up going to billions, right? Even if it doesn't, I have a hard time imagining that, it won't at least, where is it now? It's at 90 cents. I'd have a hard time imagining that it's not going to be $8. Anything can happen. And, like I said, they're unstable molecules and they're highly volatile. But they have a really strong team of people who have been in like industries for, I think one of their guys worked at BlackRock. And the guy who speaks on their behalf, Austin, is a really good speaker. I wish that, Tectum had someone like that speaking for them, because, Alex is a smart guy, their CEO, but sometimes he misspeaks. What's good? Vorgix, Harish in the house. Base meme, is there a Chuck Street Fighter game? Cool one. There's not. That was just a really dope video that someone made in the community. That would be dope. But the Chuck community is top notch, and a bunch of people put out dope content regularly. So that's what that is. Chuck to a buck. What up, Danny? I'm about to load up on Tectum. Yeah, we'll talk about Tectum. What's good, Ron? Catch me and Ron tomorrow. It'll be another good one. Yeah, so I will say that it's harder to be bullish on something when this is where like the mental part of this comes in. My bags are packed on Tectum. I have a lot of it. I'm not selling any, and I have enough of it, right? So I think this is a good buy zone. Nothing fundamentally has changed with Tectum. So why did I buy Tectum? And I bought it here. All right. So $8 was my initial. So I'm down on it. But my initial was $8. I bought more up here. Oh, and then I bought a lot down here. I bought in the $4 range, $5, $6. So I don't know what my average is. Maybe I'm even. I'm probably down a bit. So, but why did I buy Tectum? I bought it because it's proven to be the world's fastest blockchain right now, 3 million TPS. The soft note technology, I think, is a very strong narrative. So I think when you pair those two things, and it's a layer one, right? And that plays into the Bitcoin narrative. So when I look at all that, I look at it as being a potential. Where is it? It's a potential billion-dollar project. Now, have any of those things changed? No. What has happened is the price has been flat, and also the FUD around it has been on the team and their poor communication, right? And that's why I said that I wish they had someone like Austin from Devve speaking, because that's what it is. When you couple poor communication, when the price is down and there's poor communication, then people will tie the two together and the bearish narrative will take hold. If the price goes back up to $10, all of a sudden people are going to be talking about the bullish narrative again. And so I'm not put off, or I'm still bullish. I'm not put off. They have partnered with a marketing agency. So, I think hype, well, they do have people tweeting about them. I think that there is good awareness built around them on X. I remember Altcoin Daily followed them on the last run up. I would think that Altcoin Daily talked about them because there's some sort of partnership. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure they talked about them. And they don't talk about small caps, right? So I would anticipate a well-timed, some more of that later on. We'll see. But like I said, these small caps are highly volatile, unstable molecules. And so I also understand that, of my small caps, I could potentially be wrong on one of them, all right, or more. But you have to place your bets, and then you have to assess, is there something fundamentally wrong with this, or is it just the market behavior and temporary FUD? There's been nothing to happen that would override my conviction in it. So sticking with Tectum. Yeah, I answered this before. I'll be taking profits in this time period. Probably May, June, I would anticipate the peak of the first peak on alts. Hey, Danny, Sui and Jasmy Coin are running. Tony Smith in the house shilling his Jasmy Coin. Yeah, I saw that actually. Good stuff. Congrats to you for being in Jasmy. Let's pull it up. Jasmy's solid, $2 billion big cap. It's a strong big cap play, I think. Chart looks good over the last year. Great, actually. All right, this is a great chart. $2 billion market cap. And Sui, I think, just hit a new all-time high. And in my last video, I talked about, look at this chart, beautiful on Sui. I talked about bigger caps and what I would buy if I were buying large caps. And Sui is absolutely one of them. It's got mind share right now. Everyone's talking about it. It's got successful meme coins. It's got a great wallet like Phantom. Solana has Phantom. They've got their own playable device coming out. Similar, following in the footsteps of Solana, what they did with the Saga phone. These guys are coming out with a gaming console. And so $15 billion market cap, if you're looking for from here, a 7x, even a 10x potentially, although I think 150 would be high. I think around $100 billion on Sui. It's going to keep winning. Winners keep winning. It's just bigger right now. I absolutely think gaming will have a run later on. And if it doesn't, then I will have been wrong. But I don't think I'm wrong. I think that it will. And the reason I think that it will is kind of basic in that everyone I know has gaming projects. Everyone is allocated to gaming. And I think things will run at different times. We've seen the AI agents. I think proper AI projects, which have been flat, will run up big. But after those run up, people are going to look at other sectors that are now relatively undervalued. And they're going to look to gaming because gaming is one of the ones that is often mentioned, RWA. So I do think gaming will have a run. It could be later on. But I think the appetite for it is there. I think it doesn't take much to spark it now that the idea is there. And it had a run end of 2020. What year was that? These years blend together, brother. That was 2022, right? Was that? No, 2023. Yeah, last year was 2024. So at the end of 23, gaming really started to run. Then it stopped. I think it comes back. Major influencers are behind it. All it takes is a spark from GTA 6, from Off the Grid doing well, anything really. So, yeah. Josh VMAX in the house. What's good, brother? Do you plan on having multiple exchanges to cash out? Do all exchanges send the IRS? So the major ones do, but I can't cash out. I can only cash out on like Coinbase and Robinhood. So I'll just be cashing out through Coinbase. Because I'm, where I live, I have to be KYC'd to go. First of all, Mexi's banned where I live, as well as a bunch of other small ones. So my only really off ramp is Coinbase, Robinhood. So I'll just off ramp through Coinbase, but I'm going to keep a lot of money in stables. My plan, it's kind of like, I always told myself this is the end of the story and like, I'll be out. I'm never going to be out, right? As long as there's money to be made in crypto, I'm not going to be out. If there's another cycle, and I anticipate that there will be, my goal is to take money to stables, wait for Bitcoin, signs of Bitcoin bottoming out, and then loading into Bitcoin, right? And owning multiple Bitcoin, and then riding that up. And so I plan to cash out what I need and sit in different stables, right? And God forbid if something did happen to USDT, I'll be in USDC, and this is the plan. I don't know if Augur is still alive. Let's look it up. A bunch of things that I looked up I was looking up a bunch of coins 2017 and clicking on them, and there was no chart anymore. So a bunch of them are gone. It's the number. It's still alive. $6 million market cap. Here we go. It had, look, even Augur, this shit coin with $6 million market cap, went to, $90 back then, peaked in January of 2018. Even last cycle, came back to $50 from a low of $9. So 5x off that low. Off the low in December. Yeah. Didn't perform too well, but the point is, it gets hard. There are more coins now than ever, but there's also more money than ever, right? So if the money is going from $3 trillion last cycle to $6 to $9 trillion this cycle, and sure, there are many more coins, there's much more money. And so even, shit coins will go up with the market. So yo, what's good? Mo Collections in the house. I believe Mcade will hit $1 billion market cap this cycle. I just feel it. I think it's quite possible that mint layer, not mint layer, that which on Mcade. I'll talk about mint layer later. I saw that down there. I think it's very possible that Mcade hits, goes to $1 billion. The thing about it is, a billion seems like a lot, and it is a big number, right? We shouldn't throw these numbers around for every coin. Not everything's going to $1 billion. But keep in mind, let's see, last cycle, 135 coins hit $1 billion, approximately, at some point. The top 400 coins could be $1 billion projects this cycle, okay? And keep in mind how when XRP, these numbers seem big. When XRP had its run here, big move, 60 cents all the way up to $2. It added like $40 billion in market cap in a week. $40 billion in market cap in a week. Imagine $40 billion in market cap getting added to small caps. That's called alt season. That's what happens when everything goes parabolic, is billions in market cap flood into the small caps, and they 10x quickly. And it seems absolutely nuts, and it is, but consider yourself lucky to be alive at this time when there's this opportunity, because there is no other opportunity like this, and it's volatile and dangerous, and you will inevitably get rugged at some point. You can get honeypotted. I've been honeypotted. I've been rugged. I've been hacked, but they didn't get my coins. They got my X account. It's a dangerous, Wild West, but there is no other space like this where you can make those types of gains in that amount of time. Got a super here. B-dubs. Thank you, brother. Is it better to cash out in USDT or USDC? It doesn't matter what you cash out in when you're sitting on it, because they're just stable coins. So, I use USDC because on Coinbase doesn't support USDT. But if I were to sit on stuff, I would spread out. I wouldn't be all in USDT just in case, it's not backed one-to-one. And if there's like a run on it, you never know in crypto. You have to be safe. But either way, if you cash out through either of those, you're fine. Cash out in ETH, whatever you want to cash out in. Let's see what else. I'll get through these, then I'll talk about my predictions on Bitcoin, Ethereum. Kai in the house, what do you think of DeSci projects? Yeah, I think that they'll have their runs, and I think you'll see these sectors that have runs throughout. I don't think it'll be a major narrative this cycle, but I do think that there are certain DeSci things that'll do well. And I've not done a lot of research on them. But if CZ tweets about something, they're going to run. And so yeah. And that's another thing. Like, I don't think only like AI, RWA, and gaming. I think that there will be other narratives that hit for periods of time, like DeSci. I don't know what Joystream is. Yes, here. Oh, I think I skipped a bunch of these. Yeah, let's go back. I skipped a bunch of these. In general, when an influencer predicts a 20x, 30x for a coin, is the prediction for the end of the cycle. So yes, it is. I think. Yeah, I can't speak for influencers, but when they say this is a 50x token, yeah. And keep in mind also that we talk about things in terms of X's. It's very hard to capture that total move. So if something does a 50x, but that's from bottom to top, right? That's assuming you got in at the bottom and you sold the top. I don't think in terms of capturing a certain amount of X's. I think about X's in terms of like, you have to know where something is going in order to like, or where something could go, right? And that's why you're putting money into it. And also for your like take profit strategies. What's good, John S? Thank you for following. Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hello, sir. Good to see you. What's good, Sam? So mint layer, and again, I try not to do price predictions on small caps because, like I said, they're very unstable, very volatile. And so I have, instead of a prediction, talk about the potential. Mint layer already went to about $1. It's currently at $18 million market cap, 10 cents. It went to $1 earlier in the year. I think it goes beyond that. And so, my targets for it I would like to see a $3 mint layer and beyond. Will it happen? I don't know. I like it because I love the narrative of scaling Bitcoin. They have catalysts coming. Atomic swaps go live in a couple weeks. They have a DEX on there. And so I like to hold these big infrastructures because they could go potentially to billions. All right. So I bought Mint Layer, I bought Tectum, I bought Devve in the hopes that one of them would get to billions. Right. And if they do, if one of them does, I'm good. And if the others do 10Xs, 20Xs, 30Xs, it's great. But it's got the potential to get, into the billions. The thing is, it needs to capture mind share, right? The marketing needs to be ramped up. It needs to be on timelines. And they've started that because I've seen some big X accounts posting about Mint Layer. So that's telling me that it looks like the marketing has started. So we'll see. Potential for Mint Layer is to get into these into here. Will it do so? I don't know. But I hold it for that potential. Am I planning to sell a big part of the portfolio in May and then the rest or completely exit? I'm not going to completely exit in May. Yeah, I'm not going to completely exit in May. I want to see where my portfolio is at. If it's like a crazy number, I'm going to ask myself, would I put that number into the market now? And if the answer is no, then I'm going to take out a bunch. As we get closer to it, I'll talk about it, but it's kind of like, it's easy for me to say right now, I'm going to take 50% out, but it depends on the numbers. It depends on what it looks like. And then maybe I end up buying back in November if I'm convinced. Maybe I end up re-entering with some of that here to capture this last 6 weeks, like XRP got, or like this shitcoin got, right? Another 6x. So definitely my plan is to sell in around what looks like the top, and always watch Bitcoin first. Bitcoin will top first. Altcoins will top weeks later. I'm going to be looking for indicators. I talked on my last stream about the Pi cycle top. And so if that hits, I'll be planning to sell also within a couple weeks. But more than likely a percentage here. How big the percentage is depends on how big my portfolio is. And then possibly stacking a little more here in order to capture this down here. Assuming that, if it looks like it's going to play out like that. Tomorrow, I'm going to have Ron on the channel. We're going to talk about the difference between the 2017 cycle and the 2021 cycle and why a lot of people are talking about this being more like 2017. All right, so tune into that. Audible Collective in the house. What's good, brother? Good, long time friend of the channel. Appreciate you stopping in. Hoping for a $5 mint layer. That would be amazing. $5 mint layer would be a 50x. Parcel is waiting on a correction to buy some parcel. That's a solid RWA play. And, at this point in the market, I think it's a good time to DCA. I wouldn't be timing and being greedy to the downside. Just putting that out there. Because things move gradually and then all at once. And so, just my thoughts. Naka, my bag is full, but it's a good time to buy. I was looking at Naka the other day. Naka was under $1. I think it's a little back over $1.04. It's $109 million market cap. Naka could 50x and go to 5 billion. All-time high of $4. This is a very solid gaming play, and I bought this as a hedge against Mcade, I bought them as hedges against each other, so more so. And I have games for a living also, which is also very solid. But in case one of them didn't work out, I had the others. And Naka has very strong social media presence. I've never played it. I've played in Mcade. I've never played around in Naka, but it's got confirmation from the market. It went to $3 and did well in early 2024. I think Naka at $1 is a good buy. I think that it could go. Let's pull it up. Naka could go to $60. They've been around, and they're kind of like far. I think they have a AAA game that they're building on. They're in Telegram, their games. They have an app hitting, I want to say, the Google Store. Naka's they're doing pretty well. So I can see a 60x on it. Does it happen? I don't know. But I know that, Gala went to 4 billion last cycle. Axie went well higher. Sandbox and Meta went to 7 and 8 billion. Those are metaverse, but just an idea of, I don't want to say a shit project, but who the hell was in Meta in Decentraland? There were 5 people in there, and it went to $8 billion market cap just because the hype drove it there. Granted, there's a lot more, saturation in the gaming sector, but 2 billion, 4 billion, very possible. Possible for Mcade too, to go to, into the billions, 1.5 billion, 3 billion. It's possible. I don't know that it happens. But what happens if Jesse Pollock gets really behind Mcade? They'll be promoted. That's the beauty of being on base, is they want to see these ecosystems grow. And I met Jesse Pollock when I went to represent the Chuck community back in when Mcade had just migrated to base. And at that time, he didn't know what Mcade was. And I told him it's a new, gaming project. It moved over to base. Check it out. I'm sure he knows what Mcade is now. And so point being, something stupid like a tweet can send something parabolic during that euphoric part of the market. And in that way, there is luck involved in, you can pick 10 tokens and the one that you don't gets tweeted by CZ, right? For some tokens, there is, it's some random thing that will pump them at some point. But Naka, absolutely. My bags are packed. I think it's going to do well. And the other thing to think about is think about the beauty of compounded gains. Okay. We talk about so right now we're talking about these tokens, right? Let's just, because Harish just brought up Naka. Let's talk about Naka. Let's say you have, and I'm throwing a number out there, 10,000 Naka tokens, $10,000, a big bag of Naka. Okay, for most people, that's a big bag of Naka. You have $10,000 in Naka right now, and it goes up 10% on the day, and you're up $1,000. All right, a 10% move, which is a normal move. Mcade did 25%, right? So a normal move, and it goes up from $1 to $1.10. Fast forward to the fun part of this market here, right? After it's already done a 5x, 10x. And now you have, let's say, 10K Naka that was $10,000, but now it's worth $100,000 because it 10x'd. And now it's $10 a token, and a 10% move is $1, right? There are going to be times when these tokens move, up by $1, when Naka goes up by $1.50 in a day because the market cap is swelled. And now you're not making, $1,000 off a 10% move. You're making $10,000 a day off a 10% move. And that's the beauty of that compounded gains. And that's the beauty of getting in early, right? Is that when the masses are buying and when people are bidding up your bags when they're already bloated, or people are looking for a quick 2x, knowing the market's coming to an end, the gains are getting ridiculous, all right, during that euphoric part of the market, especially when you've been holding good stuff cheap. So, yeah, Harish says Google Store. Yep. Apple Store soon. Nice. DeFi is good. DeFi will never go away. I think Coinbase fees cashing out USDC are considerably lower than for USDT. I have a small bag of Donnie on base, and let's see how that's. Donnie's held up. This is Donnie, right? Whoops. Here we go. Let me verify that I'm human. Yep, Donnie's held up. $487 million market cap. It's a meme coin on base. Let's talk about predictions. I didn't get into that. I talked a lot about, I went on tangents, which I always do. But in terms of this cycle and where I expect things to go, I'll have Ron on tomorrow. We'll talk about his expectations too. Bitcoin currently at 98,000, peaked at 108. My prediction for 2025 is that Bitcoin goes to 146K. I don't think it gets to those outsized numbers of 200,000, 250,000. I think every cycle there are outsized numbers that get thrown out there that they never reached. Last cycle, it was six figures, 100,000. We fell well short of it. I think 150 is a big psychological number that a lot of people have. And so I think it falls short of it. So I think Bitcoin can get to about 146,000, just short of 150, maybe even lower. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't get that high. I anticipate Bitcoin, again, gaining momentum end of January, getting to new all-time highs, possibly pushing to about 125 or so out through May before the correction, and then maybe another push up at the end of the year. But if you look at, the moves up, you're not going to see Bitcoin go up, 40,000 in a week. At least I don't think. I think it'll be more gradual and incremental at this stage. And we saw from the last push, so Bitcoin went, let me see. Yeah, we were ranging for 8 months, pushed up. Then we were in like the 80 to 90 range, went up to 108, came down. So, you're going to see run-ups, I think, in that $10,000 to $20,000 range for new all-time highs before coming back down and consolidating again. And so my anticipation is that after 108, after we get back above 108, it'll move, close in on 120, and then maybe bounce around there, and anticipate a couple pullbacks, right? So 146 on Bitcoin. ETH, I think we potentially see a $10,000 ETH this cycle. I would range it between, I had it written down somewhere. I want to say $8,400 to $10,000 on ETH. I say 8,400 because it's a $1 trillion market cap. And I think that's a nice round target for it. But I could see it going above to 5 figures. That's also a big target. So 8,400 to 10,000 on ETH. And then on Sol, I think the biggest gains on Sol are behind it. Has already done a, huge move from $8. But, last cycle, then ETH is typically made, at the peaks, not at the lows. It's comprised about 20-25% of ETH's market cap. And even if you look now, $100 billion market cap on Mcade, on Solana, while Ethereum is at 440 billion, right? So it's in that 20-25% range. If I think Ethereum's going to $1 trillion market cap, $10,000, then I think that brings Sol to 250 billion, which would put it, that's about $550. If it went to where ETH was last cycle, though, it would put it at 750. So, which would put it at like a 30, maybe 35% ratio to Ethereum. So I'm going to say 750 on Sol. I'll be bullish and say 10,000 on ETH, 146K on Bitcoin. If USA adds to National Reserve, imagine what it would mean for price. Here's the thing. I think part of that is priced in early for the cycle. But I am open to the idea of a $200,000 Bitcoin. But we'll see on how much they buy over what period of time. But I think they said it was laid out by Cynthia Loomis. I forget what the exact plan was, but she laid out a 5-year plan for Bitcoin accumulation. But they also already hold a certain amount of Bitcoin. So that's part of the plan, right? It's part of the plan is just not selling what they have and putting it in the reserve. But I do think we're going to get calls for big numbers. And the deeper we get into the cycle, the more defense we should play and be careful. Yeah, so I believe that the correct one is it's typically on CoinGecko and not on CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap gets a lot wrong. 61 million now. This is correct. All right, so 61 million on Mcade. But that pretty much sums up everything I had planned for today. Thank you for coming through on this Saturday. Let's see. Will it be more expensive to cash out coins on ETH opposed to Base and Sol? So there are more fees on ETH, yeah. But B-dubs, what I also do is for Coinbase, I have the subscription where I don't pay fees for buying and selling on there. So I pay like $30 a month, and you can also you get more access to customer service, which I think is worth it because it sucks if you have issues over there and you can't call someone. So, but I think cashing out, when you cash out, you're cashing out your USDC, US cash, right? So you're selling your Sol and ETH. Yeah. But there you go. It's always more expensive to transact on ETH, though, right? If you're moving indexes and things like that. Thanks for joining me on this Saturday. I'll be back at it again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time with Ron, and we'll have a conversation and touch on some of these things. Get into the chat, talk about AI agents and what Ron thinks of this year. So thanks for coming through. As always, subscribe, hit the like button. See you later.